Today's topic is finding your secret sauce. And our speaker today is Brett Hill. He's the founder of the Mindful Coach Association. As the founder of the Mindful Coach Association, Brett's mission is to help as many people as he can to wake up to who they really are and live with meaning and purpose. Brett has over 15 years of experience in coaching, consulting, and training. He also holds multiple certifications, including the Associate Certified Coach from the International Coaching Federation, Mindfulness and Somatic Coaching, and the Certified Mindful Workplace Facilitator from the Institute for Organizational Mindfulness. Furthermore, Brett has written an award-winning book on how to use Office 365 for small businesses, and he hosts the Mindful Coach podcast, where he interviews members of the Mindful Coach Association. He believes that what we do flows from who we are, and that effective mindful coaching is a felt sense that connects us to our wholeness and potential. Brett,
Yay.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Heather, for inviting me and for the work that you are all doing here with the Center for Mindful Business. Such important work. And so, I'm happy that we connected and we have this, ally relationship in the world, and it's really, really powerful. And so I appreciate that. This is a topic that I know a lot of coaches struggle with, particularly when they're looking out at the world of coaching and looking into the world of who they are and trying to figure out how these things align in a way that is, resonant and ethical and completely, it expresses who they are versus what they want to do, as well as what they want to do. And the requirement of the modern world to actually, put out into the world what it is that you do in like smaller sound bites and frameworks gives a lot of people who are in big, what I call the big business of mindfulness, meaning we all know because of our practices, the value that mindfulness can bring to our lives. And so when we start talking about it in terms of benefits, like, oh, you're going to be less stressful, you're going to be more resilient. It's like, there's nothing wrong with those things. But what mindfulness can do for us, for many of us, is so much bigger. And the thing that we're connected to is so much bigger that it can often feel like it's incongruent with who we are to kind of even say what it is you want to do in a way that can get across. So we start to feel like out of integrity by doing marketing. And then also there's this notion of what is it that I do that's different than anybody else? I mean, there's a million people out there who can teach mindfulness, so why me? And so I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I'm of the belief that each person who brings their work to the world does so has something unique that nobody else can do. And when you really truly own that, when you really truly realize and feel what it is about you that no one else, there's only you're the only one of you, right? So what is your particular secret sauce, so to speak, and the flavor of that you can bring that no one else can? And this is an edge, right? So it's like what you do versus who you are. And so it's like in some way you have to begin your work in a certain way with, or a lot of people begin their work with, well, here's what I do. I teach mindfulness in business so you can do these things. And then after you get some success, it becomes, well, yeah, they teach mindfulness, but I want it from that person. I want it from Brett, I want it from Kaylin, I want it from Anna. It's like they're the ones I want to learn this from. And that's when you really start to claim your game, so to speak, because now people are coming to you for something they can't get anywhere else. They can get a curriculum from a lot of people, but they can't get your flavor except from you, right? So you go to a restaurant because of a chef, And so in a certain way, you want to be the chef of mindful coaching in a way. So what is it that you do? And so some people, they don't really know that. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. One of the things to think about in this is something that I heard a while back in some of the mini courses that I've taken about marketing, which I really appreciated. A lot of coaches, a lot of coach training and marketing training has you think about who what they call an avatar is, and I'm sure you've heard that, where like who is it you're trying to attract, and you can flip the bit on that and think about, rather than who is it that you want to pitch to, think about who wants to do business with you. Who is it that you naturally attract? If you were just on a street corner and going, hey, come and listen to me talk about, who would come into your circle and resonate with you? What kind of a person would that be? So when you think about, quote unquote, your ideal customer, there's the elements of like, well, they're this kind of a business, or they're this kind of a, individual, depending on your orientation in your world for your market. And they're like this old, and they're this gender, and they're this, they've been in this profession, all those things, which are very typical and useful. But then there's also, it's like, well, people that I work with, that I work really well with, people that seem to just kind of like what I do, are like this. Like, I know I tend to work really well with people who are empathic, sensitive types. Those people kind of get into the circle of things that I do and show up regularly to the things that I do because they like the vibe. They like what's going on here. And so if I was to say, well, who do I attract? I would say, okay, that. So if I was going to say, well, Brett, so that's a clue about something that of a strength that you could have, or I could have, that I could say, well, I could set up a practice around empathic, sensitive people. And what do I know about that? Well, I kind of know a lot about that because I am one. And so if I look at what have I learned, what do I know about that? Coaching in an empathic, sensitive way to empathic, sensitive people gives you immediate authority, because you can say, I live the same struggles that you have. Living in a world that's too harsh, dealing with overstimulation, knowing things that other people don't know, not being able to connect in a way where I'm feeling as deep as other people. I'm not feeling like I'm connecting in a deep way. Having a lot of feelings, having a rich inner life. And that creates a series of problems which you can think about and you can know about, and you can speak to other people personally. So when you start to create a page, they talk about speak to that person as if they go, oh yeah, that's me. When you're creating a sales page, oh yeah, that's me. You can, that'll just flow right out of you because it is you, because it's you. And so that's one way you can really land in what you might call your secret sauce. Is kind of like, look at what you've personally struggled with and teach from that place. There's a thing they call the shaman's wound, like teaching from your woundedness. And it's not like you go in and go, oh, I'm so traumatized. But if you've struggled with it, then you can say, I know what it's like to walk through the world, having trauma in my world. And I've made some progress with that. That's why I'm a coach and I want to help other people. Whoa. That's a really personal, powerful story. And stories are really where it's at. So think about who is naturally attracted to you, and what do you know about in your heart from your own life's lessons. There's another way I want to frame this, which is your own. And then if you take another step back and just think about from a business point of view, a little bit more objective. It's like in terms of how do you organize your business? You can think about, where do you naturally have authority? Like I mentioned in mine, I'm a technologist. I've written a book. And so that there's some people that really like that aspect of the fact that, oh, he's a mindfulness coach. He's also got this tech thing going. So it's kind of like, oh, well, that's interesting. And it causes people to kind of shift their perspective a little bit about me. And so it's like, where do you naturally have authority? So it'd be possible. I didn't set out a business like this, but it'd be possible for me to start a business in mindfulness for technologists because I have established credibility in there. So where do you have established credibility? Where is it that's just easy for you, just from a professional point of view? Like maybe you were there's some people in the Mindful Coach Association. One of them is a doctor who works with has a specialty in Parkinson's people, and so she's teaching mindfulness in Parkinson's to hospitals and places like that, and is getting some traction, and it lights her up because that's her expertise. So where do you have natural authority because of your career? Now that's an easy way to win. Because, I used to work for Microsoft. I used to work for, other technical companies and I've written books. So yeah, okay. He's a technologist, so I can speak to the technical world. And the other is, where's your expertise, right? So what do you know about? Maybe you've got specific training and like in my world, like some somatic psychotherapy. So I have an expertise in that. And then where do you have energy? Like what lights you up? Where do you feel like you really want to be helpful? So if you look around, where does your natural claimed authority align with your expertise and align with where your energy is? And if there's some alignment of all those things, that's a really natural framework for you to go and launch a business. Now, the final piece of this is, lots of times when you when you find that thing and you go after it, some people go, well, yeah, that's true, but it's not big enough for me. I'm actually bigger than that. And I just want to say that's absolutely true. And it's a little bit of a skill, if you will, or a learned discomfort for some of us to kind of step out of the idea that anything you do has to represent everything you do. That instead, it's better for you to say, because of, and we didn't invent the digital marketplace. We grew up. It grew up. For in my case, it grew up around me, and for other cases, you grew up and it was already here. But it's like that's the nature of the world these days, right? And so you can't pitch, I'm a general mindfulness. You can, and some people do, but generally speaking, because there's so much noise in the world, you have to be very specific. That can get you to the more general audiences. So I in my pursuit of all things marketing and that kind of thing, I've been in some of these weird little masterminds with these crazy guys that are like, like the blood's in their head and they're going like, crush it as a coach. You're going to make 27 figures leaving on the beach and not doing anything if you just follow these techniques. I mean, these really, really intense salespeople, right? And but they're massively successful. And so a couple of times I've wound up in a room with those guys, and I'm always listening for, what do they know that I can use? Obviously, it's not my vibe, but I'm listening. What do they know that I can use? And one of the things this guy said, which I thought was pretty powerful, is it doesn't matter what you know, it matters what you can sell. And while it's kind of harsh to hear from a marketing perspective, what it does mean in a certain way that if you can't market what you know effectively, you can't bring the goodness of you to the world. And the point of all of this is that the world needs what you have. And if you believe that in your heart and soul, then you can get behind your marketing with the notion that it's not just about success, it's about a mission that matters. And it's important that the people that you need to reach know what you're doing. If you can't put that out there in a way where people say yes to you, then all of that just kind of can be on the shelf. It'd be like diamonds on the shelf at Costco. People go, oh, what's this can of beans? Oh, there's a diamond in here. They don't know till they buy the beans, so to speak. And so it's almost like, I feel like mindfulness is a little bit of a, you get a lot more than you pay for, but you can't tell people what they're going to get until they pay for what they think they're getting, which is resilience, calm, more calm. And in my case with coaching, it's about better outcomes with your clients and better experience with your coaching, because I teach coaches how to be more mindful and present in their work so that they can have better outcomes and also better satisfaction. They get a lot more than that out of that. But that's a tangible benefit that almost all coaches are interested in. And so I lead with that. But what I'm really after is this, what they get is a much bigger thing. Does this make sense? Does that make sense to people?